All right, I just want to give a quick disclaimer before you watch this video. This is a beta test run episode. We are still working out a lot of technical kinks and difficulties. There's issues with the audio. There's issues with some of the video. I totally get it. It's not perfect. That's why we're doing these test runs, but we're going to get better and better. There's still a lot of great information in this episode, some funny stories, some good content. So please go ahead and watch it, enjoy it. Just look past the technical stuff. It's not the most polished, clean video you ever saw. On another note, as we move forward, one thing we'd really like to do is to be able to provide feedback and coaching to you, people in the audience. So we're going to have where you can actually upload a video to us. We will bring that video up on screen and watch it live with you. We'll bring you in from the audience and we'll give you live feedback and coaching on your video. Hopefully it's a way for you to get some free coaching, aid in your progression, but also that it can be a benefit to everybody else watching in the rest of the skydiving community. So if you want to join us for the recording and watch us record the show live, or if you want to upload a video to us before a show so that we can consider watching it during the show and giving you some live feedback, go to the Crave website. It's cravetofly.com/podcast. There's going to be a link on there that you can use if you just want to be in the audience, you just want to watch the show, you can do that. There's also going to be another link where you can upload a video to us for us to consider using during the show, during the recording. Now, I can't promise that we'll take all the videos submissions that we get, but we're going to go through them, pick the ones that we think will be most beneficial, maybe have the broadest range of appeal or help the most people. So check that out. Go to cravetofly.com/podcast. You can use the link to join just as an audience member or upload us a video, and there'll be some more information on there. So I hope you enjoy this episode. We'll try to make them better as we go forward, and Crave, do more, be better. All right, blue skies, peace. Hey, welcome to the Crave podcast. That's what we're calling it for now. We're going to get started. We've been shooting the bull, but this is the official start of one of our beta test run episodes. So quick introductions. I'm Chris Fikes. That's it. You guys go.
Wazzy Circus. That's it. You go.
Jason Russell. Most people in skydiving know me as JRuss.
JRuss.
Yeah.
All right. Waz, go ahead. You were asking JRuss.
So, JRuss, you were just in Slovakia for the World Meets at the tunnel.
Yeah.
You guys were 40 miles away. How far from Ukraine were you? Pretty close.
Oh, man. Yeah, pretty close. I'd have to look at... I mean, I did look at a map, to be honest, because I wasn't 100% sure where Slovakia was in Europe. And we actually flew into Krakow and then drove over to the tunnel because it was a little bit better as far as logistics. But I believe it shares a border. I'd have to look at the map again.
Shares a border,
close.
dude.
Yeah,
because Dusty Shaw was there. That's one of my teammates. And he was there with Maya. Yeah. And he's saying no American flags. Try not to speak English in public because the Russians are right there going to war.
Well, I mean, I don't want to disagree with them, but we certainly on the podium we had an American flag, as did any other Americans that made it to the podium. And,
well, I mean, like in the town, in the city.
Yeah, to be honest with I was so jet lagged the whole time. I never left the it's Tachilangia, and it's a compound. It's got a zoo. It's got a water park. It's a tourist attraction, little resort town. And they had, as part of the registration, we had food provided. I started round one. I hadn't slept in like 27 hours, and then I just tried whenever I could to get some sleep in between. And there's trips that happen like that all the time where I'll go somewhere and just do the work or the competition, and I won't get a chance to look at the area. But the Russians are close by for sure.
So, Waz, I don't know if you know this, but JRuss and their team, SDC Corps, they won first. So
don't you always win
congratulations is in order.
Don't you always win first, dude? Hell yeah. Congratulations, bro.
That's awesome, man.
World champions, indoor and outdoor.
Right.
To be honest, man, I could tell you the times we haven't won first because they're hard to swallow. But we didn't. If we would have gotten anywhere first, second, third, I mean, I was more surprised to get first than I would have been to get third. There's a really strong Polish team and a really strong Italian team, and all they do, I mean, the Italians jump about somewhere between 50 and 100 jumps a year, and the Polish don't jump at all. And so, this conversation has been going on for years about it used to be, if you were the outdoor champs, it was just kind of, you were also the indoor champs. But man, I was competing against a 17-year-old Polish kid who all I could think watching him fly was, I should be a lot better. And so they made some mistakes. Our first day was pretty rough. We went down 5 or 6 points the first round, and none of us had slept, and that's a mistake on our part to not get there sooner, but it is what it is. And so yeah, it's always nice to win, but it was not my expectation going in.
And this is formerly VFS.
Yeah, we've got a new teammate. Like, he filled in for us last year in Belgium when Dusty couldn't attend a competition. We did less than 2 hours training. We came back the last day and ended up winning by a couple points. But I mean, to say we came back, we stayed consistent, and the Italians blew up in one round and they let us back in. And so that same guy is now on our team, but that only happened a couple months ago when Dusty said he couldn't do it anymore. And so we had another, 3 or 4 hours with him. So really limited amount of training time. So
who are your teammates?
Yeah,
we just picked up Chip Keating. His real name's Everett, but he goes by Chip, and he's him and Sam Lendl are both California jumpers. I believe they're both based at Skydive California now. And then my wife Steph and myself, and Johnny Gunn was our old camera flyer. He retired to go back to school after last season, and we picked up a woman named Nicole Senecal, who filled in for Johnny a few times over the last couple of years. She did a fantastic job. She's pretty new in the sport, 2,000-3,000 jumps, something like that. But charging hard. She set a record for like the most base jumps in 24 hours or 12 hours or something last year or 2 years ago, and just super excited, real talented flyer. So we got a good team. We're just a little bit green at the moment.
Do you have any of your? Go ahead, sir.
Well, I'm not super familiar with BFS. I mean, I know more now because of the course that we filmed, and I'm super excited about that course coming out. But what is the difference between indoor? I mean, obviously I know the difference, but like, talk to me. What's the difference between indoor and outdoor? Like, how are they different? Are they different, those competitions?
Well, I mean, the dive pool is exactly the same. So everything that we're going to fly, those are all the same blocks and randoms, but just having to jump out of the plane and start turning points is, in my opinion, quite a bit more challenging than hopping up off the net and turning points. And the other big thing that immediately comes to mind when you ask that is just the visual references that you have in the tunnel that alert you to your position and your level, your fall rate, that you don't have in the sky. And so for a lot of people, that transition can be a little bit bumpy. And so we're with Chip as our new teammate, we're expecting a bumpy road this spring of kind of getting him back into, I don't know, fighting shape. I don't know what to call it, but there's some, I guess, more fundamental differences in my mind about having to exit the plane and then the visual references.
So for sorry, go Waz. Go ahead.
Okay, so traditionally, people that go from the tunnel to the sky, it seems like they can rip a little bit harder. But VFS, it seems like going from the sky to the tunnel, you'd have an edge.
I think people even people who are qualified VFS flyers in the tunnel have a difficult time transitioning that to the sky, just finding the relative wind as you leave the plane in something as simple as a head-up exit. Even though that's, to be honest, not that simple.
Yeah, that's hard.
But it can be a real challenge to as for instance, Dusty, our old teammate, his first VFS team, they were just tunnel. I think they did, I want to say 20 training jumps before nationals in a year. 20 training jumps. So we'll do that in a couple days.
Right.
And so they were absolutely awful on the hill. They blew up most of their exits. The first 10 seconds of their 35 seconds, they didn't score a point, and then they would put up 25 points when they got to full speed. That's part of that difficulty.
That's an art form, dude. Riding that hill and having enough control to be in your slot, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and we're shooting for the same thing that top level belly teams shoot for. That our first points are just a continuation of our exit count. Ready, set, go. Point. And I hope I don't look like that. If I do, you gotta call me out. I start swinging my hips in the middle of the skydive.
That means you're having fun, man.
So, hey, what kind of role does your camera flyer teammate play in the tunnel? Do they have a role?
She didn't go.
Okay, so there's not a need for that, right? I mean,
no, they just be in the way.
Yeah, that's a lot of expense and travel, and they're just to have team solidarity or whatever.
Yeah.
So where'd you fly into?
Krakow,
Poland.
Yeah.
And then you took a train?
We rented a little Kia something or other and drove over there.
Okay. So it wasn't that wild of an experience, really?
No. And to be honest, man, our schedule is so full that happens a lot. And then sadly, at the time, not sadly, I guess, but it makes me a little sad for those times, because the times that I do take the time to go look around wherever we are, one of the most memorable trips of my life is I used to coach in the Warsaw Tunnel all the time. And I would go there, I would get a ride from the airport to the tunnel. They have little rooms in the bottom. They've got a kitchen inside. I'd do my job. I'd stay right there, and I'd go home. And then I went over there with a longtime good friend of mine, Ben Rohn, and we ran the camp together. And something happened to the airplane. We were supposed to go to coach at the drop zone, but then they didn't get their plane somehow. And we went to Auschwitz. And that was one of the most memorable things I've ever done. And, it was a pretty rough trip, but still, like, just doing something outside of the tunnel was amazing, and I'll never forget that trip. And so, I mean, that's kind of an extreme case, but it makes me think that if I could, I should budget a little bit more time.
Yeah, I make it a priority, just because I never know when I'm going to get back to a place,
Sure, yeah.
So we always go explore at least a little bit, get food, talk to some people, see the sights. Yeah, but I mean, when you're hustling, it's a little different,
Yeah. All right, so I sent you guys, kind of some ideas for some things that we might talk about, this episode. So the first one that I wanted to go over, what's something about the skydiving culture that you wish was different, and how would you like to see it change? Did you guys have a chance to I was trying to send it to you in advance just so we'd have, because for me I just needed a little bit of time to think about it and stuff. So I have something that I came up with. If y'all want me to go first, or if one of y'all has one, go for it.
I've got one, but go ahead.
I mean, mine's it's not a huge thing. It's just something that I thought about. I haven't jumped at a ton of drop zones, but it seems like the drop zones that I've been at, and especially my home DZ, Spaceland, San Marcos, all the people in the packing room, like the packers, I just don't feel like I know them hardly at all. I don't ever get to jump with them. Actually, I don't see them jump very much. I'm sure they do sometimes. I'm sure they get to jump, but that's something I wish was a little bit different. I don't know what the solution is. It's probably on me. Like, I should just go in there and talk to them and be friends with them and get to know them and ask them questions.
Pretty much, dude.
But it feels like it's just such a separation between that everybody kind of making the tandem gears turn, and we're just out there fun jumping and having a good time, and they're really making it possible for us to be there and get to be on the drop zone and get to have fun and for it to be a reasonable cost, without all that. So that's something I thought of. It's like, man, I need to do a better job.
Well, that goes to my point. This is what I was going to bring up. The barrier of entry is so tough, right? It's the cost of skydiving is not cheap, bro. There's nothing cheap about it. And they're there hustling. That's why you don't get to talk to them. Because you're there having a great time. They're there trying to pay rent, bro. You know what I mean? They need gas money home. They probably got a trailer. Who knows what they've got going on? So there's two different worlds on the drop zone, okay? There's the workers, which I've always been, right? I didn't come in as a fun jumper. I came in as a worker, and I was always a worker. I was tandem AFF, video, packer, mower, bathrooms, you know what I mean? Whatever I could do to get there. And then there's guys that are there on the weekend blowing $500-600 on fun jumps, and there's a different mindset, right? So it's kind of like oil and water. Even though you're all in the same sport and everybody's happy to be there, their mindset's different. They're at work. You know what I mean? And you're there for fun. You're like a customer at a restaurant getting a filet mignon, and they're washing dishes, bro. So that's where it's at. So you should definitely reach out to them, because they probably feel that same way too. I always felt that I was never part of the fun jump crowd until I got really good and they started asking me to teach them. But I wasn't never really part of that crowd. I was a worker. And within that worker world, dude, they're tight. The TIs with the camera guys, with the AFF, that world is tight. You know what I mean? And they're very close knit. So you'll see a lot of the AFF guys don't hang out with the fun jumpers either. TIs are on the plane, Huck and Drogues, they might get a sunset load if they still want to jump anymore after knocking out 10, 12 tandems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wish, but there's no way to wish this. The only way I got in was because a guy named Jack Reeves gave me a break, right? I was an IAD student, which means they called us stepchildren. Well, they just take us up to 3.5, let us crawl out in the wing, and then shut the door and fly away. You know what I mean? There was nobody messing with us. We just let go and fall. You know, but it was cheaper for me. And I ended up building a ramp to simulate the exit from the mock-up, where you lay on the creeper and you'd hold on and you'd let go, and it'd give you that feeling, and you'd like have to hold your arch while you went backwards down this ramp. It was dangerous as hell. But because of that, I got free jumps. And I started teaching the first jump course at like 32 jumps, 35 jumps. I was fresh out of college. I was all motivated. I watched the class and I revamped it for the DZO. And he's like, go ahead and teach it so he could be on the plane.
Did I misunderstand something? You were teaching other people at 35 jumps?
35 skydives, bro. I was just regurgitating what the boss said. You know, I was just regurgitating off the outline. And I taught that course for 6 years. Every weekend I was the only guy doing it. You know, and then I was coach, AFF, tandem, video. You know, so that only way I got to skydive is clocking in. Right? I never had a surplus of cash. My first rig I got for $650, and it had a reserve in it. It was an old Javelin. And then I bought a $200 Sabre 1 and threw it in there, and that's what I jumped for years.
Ugh.
Yeah, man. But
your neck remembers that.
Oh man, there's a ninja in your backpack, buddy. But yeah, it's the barrier of entry. So that's what I would wish was different somehow. So going back to the Polish conversation, the Italian conversation, they're government sponsored, aren't they? In the Worlds, weren't they government teams?
The Italian team is a military team, so yeah, they are sponsored. The Polish team is just a group of guys that want
Just
to
a group of guys. Yeah. Wow, good on them. But yeah, we don't have anything like that here. You know, if you want to go skydive, you got to scrape, bro. I was waiting tables, so I would I would tell people to go home early. I'd do their side work for like $5, and then I'd take the rest of their tables for jump money. Right? It was tough. You know, I didn't have an engineering job, or I wasn't ex-military. A lot of these guys are retired and they have pensions. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the barrier to entry, if there's some way to get, because it's such a wonderful sport. It's such a wonderful experience. It changes you. It builds you as a human. It gives you confidence that you've never had before. And I kind of discovered myself from leaving the airplane. So I wish there was a way to get more people into the sport, and it wasn't so expensive.
You guys, you both might be participating in a way forward. I can't say that, you know, maybe when iFly has different management, it'll be the way forward. But tunnels can expose a lot of people to it. And in addition to that, I wrote a little paper years ago about the cost differential between tunnel and skydiving, and the reality for most people should be that they can get quite a bit better by going and flying in the tunnel and conserve some of those skydiving funds, even though it seems like you're plunking down a lot of money. You know, in one go you got to pay, I don't know, whatever, $250 for 15 minutes. But if you compare that to 15 minutes of skydiving with a coach and safety and blah blah blah, it's actually quite reasonable. So you know, that has been, I think, a way, certainly as a competitor, the skilled level of skydiving has grown over the years, and that is attributable, I think, directly to the indoor skydiving when tunnel flying.
JRuss,
To your point.
Well, I'm interested to hear your answer to that question. Is there something?
Oh, I have one, but I wanted to say about the Packers that I've actually been on both sides of what Waz talked about. I owned a bar when I started skydiving, and I did have disposable income, and then I also got out of the bar just to be a skydiver and went back to not having disposable income, and AFF and Tana Video and that kind of stuff. But I didn't really feel like I fit in very well with the drop zone, and so I started hanging around with the packing crew, and just got friendly with the guy that was there all the time, and he taught me how to pack, and the buddy that I started skydiving with, and just a real quality individual, and that's Vladdy that started Vertical Suits, and you guys know him now. And then our Packers, it's a little bit different community at Skydive Chicago, but Kevin and Nell are our Packers, and I think Waz is 100% correct that their nose is to the grindstone during the day because they're making donuts, but at the end of the day, at Chicago we got a little community there where people are going to grill out and hang out after hours. Then we get to see that they are shining stars of individuals, and you get to hear their thoughts and a little bit maybe about what's going on in the packing mat, but that's not always what we're talking about. And certainly we get to see inside of their personality. So I think you're going to be, there's going to be some people that you might spark up a conversation with and go, maybe I should have left that one alone. And then I think you probably find some gems there as well. So I wouldn't be shy, but during the day when they're cranking, they're probably having a conversation about the new constellation that got discovered is not what they're going to want to do.
Right.
Is Pluto a planet or not?
Yeah.
Yo, like you mentioned the $250 for the 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
At the tunnel, which is old. I'm a tunnel guy. I've been there for more than a decade, right? It's super beneficial, but that $125 jump, or it's $30 now, even if it's just one jump, is exponentially better. I mean, the culture at the tunnel doesn't really lend itself to hanging out, having fun, that glee, that joy you get at the drop zone, right? So I can understand why people are like, I feel I didn't really get anywhere, I struggled, and it was really cold. Like, the iFly models kind of get in, get out. It's not really a warm environment where you can go to the drop zone and make 2 jumps, spend 8 hours there, hang out at the bonfire, and you feel like your life has been fulfilled. You've got great friends, great laughter, camaraderie, the fear of the exit, the landing. Did you do it right? Somebody cut me off. The wind direction changed. There's so much stuff going on. We're at the tunnel, and then the instructors, they're at work. You want to be their friends, but they've got you, they got another student, they've got classes going on. So it's difficult to get the same amount of joy from the tunnel that you do skydiving.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Dude, I think Waz, that's one of the reasons that your flight nights there at Austin, and then we just copied you. We did exactly what you were doing. We started trying to do the exact same thing in San Antonio, me and Tony Belmonte, and we had a blast, dude. We had so much fun. And I think it's because we were actually trying to provide that type of atmosphere. Like, we were getting together. I was so excited for those Thursday nights when all those people would show up. 15, 18, 20 people. It's like a pickup game of 4-way tunnel flying. Like, that's what it felt like, a pickup game of basketball. Like, we're just having so much fun. Like, it was awesome. Like, so
that
cool.
was the goal of flight nights. I was like, people are going to the drop zone on Saturday, even if their grandma dies. They'll catch up with her on Sunday. You know what I mean? They're going to the drop zone. And I wanted them to come to the tunnel on Thursdays to know that they're going to have that community. We're going to go to the bar afterwards. We're all going to talk and bullshit. And it's not how good you are. It's just all about learning and fun, And it's that community. It's what people crave.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended.
So,
JRuss, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I wanted, the caveat to what I'm going to say is that I think it's improved. But when I started skydiving, we were still solidly in the Sky God era, and I think it always struck me as odd that you could I'm not going to name the negative side because everybody's got that answer if I just say that, but that you could meet someone like Craig Girard or Pete Allen, just despite their accomplishments, real humble guys and down to earth. And, I met Craig Girard in Eloy in 2002, I believe, and then, or maybe 2003. And I saw him next at the U.S. Nationals in Lake Wales in 2005, I think. And he came walking up to me, Jason, good to see you again.
No way.
I had maybe 100 jumps when I met him. We made one jump. I was there with some belly flyers. He came along. He said, can I come? Yeah, you can come. And I 3 years later, remembered my first name and shook my hand. And I was just like, man, what a guy.
So
awesome. Talked to me for a few minutes. And I was competing in intermediate four-way belly, and he's a world champion at that point. And over the years, I've definitely developed a feeling of trying to emulate that because we're falling out of planes. We don't need to have big egos, but all of us have met somebody who was the antithesis of that. And that part, when I run into those kind of people still, I don't know, man. I kind of want to stomp my feet at them, but then I just shake my head, and I guess we're just a big collection of people, and you're going to get a lot of different kinds of them. But I wish that I hope that newer jumpers are discerning enough to see the difference between those two kinds of people, and hopefully stay away from the people who are here for, I don't know, feeding their ego.
This is one other thought I had, and this is not, I don't think this is something that needs to change because I don't think it's this way. I'm just something that we've been trying to do at San Marcos is having the free flyers, the movement flyer, and the belly groups. Like we've got, most of the time it kind of seems like you've got people who are clearly, having fun with big weight belly stuff, belly formation, doing all that stuff, and then there's a group of people who are trying to, do more vertical flying, free flying movement, whatever. And me, I typically organize those kind of jumps, the free flying, the movement, and then there's the guys that organize the belly stuff. And we keep trying over and over and over to try to get our groups to jump together. And I am so thankful for those guys. We haven't got to do it very much, but it makes me feel so good that they want to jump with us. And because I want to jump with them. Like I've gone on a few of those belly jumps, and for one, it's challenging and it's super fun, but that they are excited to want to jump with me and my friends and my people, and that they want us to do that, like that makes me feel so good. I love that about the skydiving community, and I hope that that's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not everywhere.
Could be.
I think a lot of the belly guys have been jumping together for so long. They're normally older guys in booty suits. You know what I mean? There's a lot of gray hair walking around the belly jumps. And those guys have been together for so long, it's hard to break that crew. And there's a safety issue involved with jumping with new people. And they don't want to deal with some wild, crazy free flyer coming blowing the group up. Well, free flyers can't belly fly to save their life. You know what I mean? They can't even build a round, bro. I've taken free flyers that, hey, let's just build a round and then go from there, and it takes half the skydive.
Yeah.
So I can understand. It's hard to bridge that gap, and the belly flyers can't sit fly or go head down very well. So it's hard to blend that,
But I got to come back to the tunnel, guys, and say that it's a cheap way for a lot of people to learn, and I have been encouraged over the years even to see some kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better term, kind of crusty belly flyers who are like, hey, I want to learn something new. And they're coming in and back flying or sit flying, and just seeing them kind of dip their toe in the water is encouraging for sure.
Yeah,
and I would like to see, to what you're saying about the tunnel and the cost difference of the tunnel being cheaper. The other benefit of the tunnel is that, and Waz, this, because the better you get at whatever discipline, the more fun you have at the drop zone. So it's okay if that atmosphere is not the same at the tunnel as it is at the drop zone. That's okay. It'd be awesome if it was the same, but even if it's not, it's okay, because it's still time and energy and effort well spent, because I really believe it's going to make your time at the drop zone more enjoyable. You might even be more of a benefit to the people you're jumping with, because you're going to be a safer flyer. You're going to be more knowledgeable. You're going to be able to help them, and you're going to be able to join in and do more stuff and feel more comfortable, more relaxed. So even if the atmosphere is not there, it's still super beneficial.
Oh, yeah, you're preaching to the choir, buddy. I mean,
I know.
But it's just, I've seen that people get frustrated at the tunnel, especially if you have a bad coach. If you end up with a bad coach and you're just in there repeating the same drill over and over and don't feel you're getting anywhere, it's easy to get frustrated. Where on a skydive, even if you mess it up, you can look around and see a sunset or something, and you're like, oh, that was the best jump of my life. And
I think. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. That's it.
Well, I was just going to say that I agree with what Waz said, that the iFly model is not really about keeping you around. It feels a little bit more to me like an amusement park, like they shuffle you through the line and then out you go. But I don't know if you guys have been to European tunnels, and then now Colorado Springs is trying to emulate that, and Ray Kubiak and Cam McMahon are opening up a tunnel at the old Pigeon Forge site in Tennessee, where they are, two tunnels in one building, and they're shooting for that. Hey, we want you as a customer, and not only that, but we want to keep you here. Colorado Springs has a bar and a restaurant inside and stadium seating, and they want you to hang around after you're done, and that's what Ray and Cam are also going to be shooting for, is an experience that isn't herding cattle.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Right.
All right, I want to move on to the next little section of the talk. I just tried to pick a topic that's simple to discuss, but it's a real question for me. I think there's an obvious answer, but seatbelts on the plane and tightening seatbelts.
Right.
That's a little bit of a pet peeve for me. I don't know.
They're not seatbelts, dude, because you're not in a seat. They're cargo belts. They're cargo belts, and they hold you from shifting, sliding to the back, and crashing the damn plane. So I feel they need to be tight. Put your strap on. You know what I mean? For the safety of everybody on board.
Why is it that nobody tightens them?
Because it's so cool. You just want to be cool. It's like, why do guys walk to the plane without their rig on? I don't know.
I've never seen that.
It's bothered me. It's always bothered me, the lax approach to safety on the plane. I don't know why we don't do a better job of it, but it's a cargo belt to keep you from shifting to the tail of the aircraft.
JRuss, am I wrong in thinking that tightening that seatbelt makes a significant difference in the case of a plane crash or something, even significant turbulence or something? It seems to me like it can make such a huge difference having that thing tight versus 3 feet long.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to drive a car and wear your seatbelt really loose, what's the point?
Right? I mean,
because it's not the impact that kills you; it's the second impact that kills you. And if you're building up speed across the distance, and then you impact the side of the plane, then that's going to be quite a bit worse. And so, yeah, tighten seatbelt.
I've seen it as a
difference.
Ego. It's an ego thing. Like some guys, I don't need a seatbelt. I don't care. I'm good. Like come on, man. It's not for you, bro.
So, are you guys still familiar with the name Fabian Riddell? Do you know that name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, in the early days of free flying, guys, he was one of the best in the world. He was on a team with a Brazilian named João Tambor.
I know Tambor.
Yeah, and then I think Juliana was also on that team. I think that was Joao's wife. But in any case, Fabian was organizing in it might be Ukraine, some Eastern European country, and he wore his seatbelt and wore his helmet for takeoff as well, and was catching shit from the other guys, kind of on the cool factor that you just said. And Fabian's been around a long time. I don't know jump numbers, but I would hazard a guess at 15,000. He said, I don't care what you say. I'm going to keep wearing my seatbelt. And the plane went down. And guys, it is a harrowing story. 6 people died. Fabian's a little bit claustrophobic, but his seatbelt held him in place. The wing crushed under him. He was wearing his helmet, so he stayed alive, even though the girl next to him died. And the story is crazy. But if if he could cut and paste that to anybody who's not serious about their seatbelt or their helmet on takeoff, and they could hear that story, I mean, he was trapped under that wing for 45 minutes, crushed next to a dead person with fuel leaking on him before they could jaws of life him out of the plane. And that's the kind of thing where, yeah, you might be the cool guy not wearing your seatbelt or not wanting to tighten it up right up until you need it. And especially considering, that Paris crash that happened so many years ago, where it became the rule that camera flyers had to wear their helmet. I don't know if you guys remember that one. That's the crash where Dan BC and I think Troy Ridgery were the two survivors out of an otter full of people, because there was water in the fuel, if I remember right. But they pulled out a camera flyer's helmet that wasn't connected to anything, and it had like 6 or 7 different DNA types on it.
Which means it bounced around the cabin, bro.
It bounced around.
I remember this story.
Yeah, I mean, and especially with what you're saying, Chris, the idea of somebody wearing their seatbelt at the maximum length, if you guys think about the expression of your rights end where my rights begin, you're now a deadly thing for me if the plane goes down. So those kinds of things that I think people don't maybe think about too much in the beginning can become real crucial issues when there's a problem.
And with experience, the more you jump, the more airplane emergencies you're going to go through. I've had engines out. I've had to bail. I've had to ride down with tandem students freaking out. Otters have, engine out. King Air engine out. We know about that.
I've had 6 or 7 aircraft emergencies. 5 of them were lost engines. And it just, you get a new appreciation for taking your safety seriously.
Yep. So my students are jump ready when we walk to the plane. Like, I don't around. Like, if we got to get out at 2, you got to be ready. You're not fumbling with your helmet trying to, it's.
Well, that I got to confess, the helmet thing. I almost always just clip it to my chest strap, but I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm gonna start wearing
jump
it.
Ready, bro.
That's.
So
okay.
Are you guys? Are you aware of a crash in Dubai a few years ago? You guys aware of that one?
No.
A caravan went down. So a caravan normally, when it loses an engine, the propeller and the engine aren't actually physically connected, so it can glide for quite a while. Whatever happened to this caravan, it chunked in the front, and the pilot couldn't do anything to change the pitch of the blades. And it was, I think, 22 or 2,400 feet, and they were on the ground in seconds. And the pilot did a great job. There was a broken wrist and a fractured rib, I think, out of that. And then the plane burned to the ground. But everybody got out alive. Pablo Hernandez was on that plane. Matt Munting, who is no longer with us, sadly, but he was on that plane. A friend of mine, Omar. A friend of mine, Pat Kay. The pilot turned around and said, "Sit down. We're going down." And in that few seconds, you had to make sure everything was tight and everything's good. And man, if you're not ready for those moments, who's going to feel dumber than somebody who goes down in a plane with a helmet on their chest strap? That's just not the place for it.
No way.
And if you're panicking, you're fumbling with the dude. Yeah,
and even if you didn't need the helmet to protect your head, what if you get crushed against that helmet and just crushes your ribs and lungs and heart? That's silly for me not to put it on.
Or what if it bounces up and takes your teeth out, and now you look silly for the next?
Yeah.
Give yourself the best chance you can.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Why not? Why have I not been putting it on? That's the point. And why not? Now I do tighten my seatbelt, but if I'm going to do that, why not put my helmet on? Okay, so a related question to the seatbelt. Does it matter if that seatbelt is through a leg strap?
Yes! It does.
Okay, talk to me. Tell us.
It needs to be on a structural component of your harness and not your chest strap. That is not a structural component.
Okay,
but leg strap or lift webbing, anything that's structurally integrated to your harness.
I wasn't talking about chest strap. I've never put it through my chest strap, but I've heard people say that a lift web is not strong enough or good or something? Or?
No, I disagree with that. Lift web and leg straps are both okay in my opinion. There's obviously more pivot potential if it's on your leg strap, in my opinion. But either of those are okay. But I struggle with people putting it on their chest strap. That's not a load-bearing part of your equipment.
Yeah. So what about like if you're, sometimes you're sitting on the floor and you got it on the yoke? Yeah, is that okay?
I don't like that. I don't like it near the handles, right? Because it could, you get in free fall, now your handle's flopping because your seatbelt scraped it, right? And anything around your 3 rings, dude, just leg strap. It's super simple. Just slide. Here's the thing when people struggle with the leg strap. They try to put the buckle through. Just put the thin part through and buckle that shit, man.
Yeah.
It's so simple. I think it's a Sky God thing. Like I'm good. I'm so badass. I jump out of planes. I don't need this safety stuff because I'm taking risks. I ride a motorcycle to the drop zone, bro.
Hey, all right. So let's go to the next hit. We've got. It looks like we do have one person, one
what
audience
up,
member,
whoever you
which
are,
is super
man.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that somebody's here. I don't know who it is.
Is there a chat lock? Is there
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
There's a chat icon down. For me, it's underneath Waz.
If you're,
but it's on the bottom right.
If you're watching
Whisper
us,
backstage.
if you're the audience member,
Guest and
can
audience.
you figure out how to
Put your
ask
name
us a
in the
question?
chat. Let's figure out who you are.
Yeah, we want to know who you are. We want to hear a question. Just, hey, what's up? Something. Or, oh, it's David. Okay, this is awesome. David is, JRuss, David is actually doing, he's helping out with all the motion graphics for y'all's course. He just sent me a few today that he'd been working on. They look fantastic. He's doing a really good job.
Cool.
All right, David. Very
Excellent.
cool.
What up, David?
Is your wife watching with you? Let's see what he says. No, sorry, she's working. Okay, cool. That's all right, man. Well, dude, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks, David. If you do you have any questions or anything, any comments or anything like that, man?
JRuss, where are you again?
Fellas, I'm in a very remote location in Colorado.
You're back home. Good.
Yeah, we bought a house with a friend that the guy couldn't finish building, and my last 5 days have been working with her dad to trench about a half a mile because we don't have water in this house. And so I meant to tell you beforehand, if I look dirty, it's because I am. It's been 5 days without a shower, I got a couple more.
You're not doing this by hand. Are you doing it by hand, or you have a trencher?
Oh, no. We rented a backhoe, but digging half a mile, 4 feet down through rock and dirt
in the Rockies, yeah, right.
Is a lot of work.
Jeez.
But we're down kind of near Four Corners in Colorado.
Okay.
Cool.
Very
Well, hey, David, I'm so glad you're here. If you have any questions or anything, please post them right there. I'll try to keep my eye on the chat, and we would love to try to answer them.
Absolutely.
All right.
Chris.
So, yeah, what's up?
If you got a second, you should put a link on United States Fun Jumpers or Beginning Skydivers forum real quick and ask people to join in now, like live.
So you see that what David just texted? Or
I'll
only
read it
add
for you.
to bear. Yeah, go over twice. No, you did.
I'd only add to barrier of entry. I'm near 500 jumps and pretty good biggish way belly flyer. I would love to be a master vertical flying.
Vertical flyer.
But I jump only 3 to 4 days a month, and it would take forever for me to get that good. True of any sport, really. True, but that's where the tunnel comes in, bro. You can spend a week at the tunnel and catch up with anybody. It's magic, man. It is a magic tube.
Hey, and that, true of any sport. This is I've thought about this a lot, and it blows me away at skydiving when you think about it. How good we get in such a short amount of time. And I mean everybody in the sport, like that you can learn how to control your body in the air in 45 or 50 second spurts, like through AFF. I mean, there's plenty of hundreds, thousands of people who go through AFF, get their license without going to the tunnel or anything. That's amazing to me. Like, think about, you do 25 jumps and you can safely jump out of the airplane. Okay, you have not even 25 minutes of free fall, right? Is that true?
Right.
Let's say you've never ever played tennis, never, and you go spend 25 minutes playing tennis. You still suck. Like, you're not any better than when you started. You've learned
Life's
nothing.
not in jeopardy when you suck at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty seriously. It's really amazing that we can do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, I'm not saying that me or you or Waz, we're not special. Everybody does that. I think that's so awesome. That a human being can do that is so cool.
Dude, we figured it out letting go of the Cessna, bro. Like, there was no AFF. Nobody told me to straighten my legs. I just spun to about 4,000 feet and threw my parachute out.
Awesome.
That was 50 jumps. That was 50 skydives, dude. I was just spinning. It was cool. I was happy to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at JRuss.
I did a static line. That was my first jump, but I didn't go on any kind of learning progression. And I had no free fall. It was a static line. My canopy was open, so that would go to the plane.
Hey JRuss, you haven't been to the military tunnel in Thailand, have you? They opened up back in, I think it was 2018, 2019.
No, the next World Indoor Championships are in Macau.
Okay.
But I don't think that's Thailand. I think it's
no.
Philippines.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
No. Yeah. That it just made me think of when we said static line. They one of the guys at that tunnel on that military base, he told me that they still have an old, or at least at that time when the tunnel opened, they have an old, like a dirigible, like a hot air balloon that's tethered to the ground. It goes up 800 feet, and that's how they teach their military guys. They do static lines from 800 feet out of not a hot air balloon, a blimp.
That sounds awesome. That sounds like base heaven. Jeez. Who hasn't daydreamed about that?
That's crazy. I mean, you kind of want to do it, don't
I would
you?
call that a nightmare.
Oh, no way. Dude, 800 feet?
I'm not a base jumper, though. That sounds...
But okay, would you do it static line? If you could do it right now, if we could go, would you do it?
Like, for fun?
Like static line around?
Just to do it.
No, they're static line in rounds. They're not getting squares out.
I don't know what they're...
Yeah, it's a round. It's military training. But look, the C-130 comes over at 900 feet. It's not much lower than what they're doing anyway.
Yeah, but you've got wind speed to help open the canopy at least, right?
On a static line, it's open. It's in the wind.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
You guys are talking about scenarios that I wouldn't choose to do.
Yeah.
Dude, I would love to have a tethered blimp. But how do you get it back up? You only get one jump, you got to pull it back down. Unless there's like an elevator, like some kind of pulley system to get you back. Dude, I would jump this shit all day, son.
But I don't know how many people it holds. It probably holds a bunch of people. You just got a winch down at the bottom. It just winches you back up.
Dude, I'm about to start a new DZ.
Didn't they do that at Cave of the Swallows, and they jumped in and then got winched back up?
Winch back up, yeah. Those were the air earth jumps, right? Yeah, those are dope.
A guy that I used to skydive with sometimes, Jay Epstein, he used to run tours down to Mexico for Cave of the Swallows, and they would jump into the cave, and then they would set up a winch system to take you back to the top.
They had the cable, right? It was a cable that they were leaving from. They weren't leaving from a plane. Only guys did that was in Point Break 2, the last movie. Those guys got out of the C-130, they released all that cash, and then they tracked into the hole and dumped their canopies. It was great. I just watched it the other night.
Is it real? Did they really do that?
No,
I haven't seen that
no,
movie.
dude. No. Awesome. So there's in China they have a big cave.
Oh, God.
And I know it's like a cable system, and they were released from the cable like a gondola. Mm-hmm. And they would jump off the gondola into the hole. But yeah, I don't think anybody's left a plane into the hole. That'd be pretty dope.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, I know the guys that were the stunt guys for Point Break, and they're pretty talented flyers, but I don't think any of them would choose to
it wasn't
go free falling through that hole.
Yeah. All right. Well, so last topic on my list for today was I wanted to talk about organizing, and especially I wanted to hear from you, JRuss, because you've done a lot of organizing over the years, lots of different types and stuff, and I organize. I'm obviously more of a weekend organizer out at the drop zone. I really enjoy it. I love it, but sometimes I question, like, am I doing a good job? Am I like helping people? Am I, I really wanted to hear from you, and of course, Waz, you too. I mean, but what makes a good organizer? What are the responsibilities of an organizer? What are the things that, as an organizer, that people should be thinking about? What are some of the common mistakes organizers make, and how can someone know when they should maybe say, oh, I don't know if I should, maybe I shouldn't jump with that organizer, maybe I shouldn't jump with that person, or just kind of those kind of questions, all around that topic.
Waz, you want to go or you want me to go?
Only thing I would say on that is a good organizer has to be able to vision every single aspect of that skydive, every slot, every danger point, all the way down to break off and canopy patterns. Like a good organizer, it's not easy to organize. And like there's a lot of people out there throwing jumps together and, hey guys, come jump with me. But a good organizer, man, it's you got to be a visionary, right? You have to see everything before it happens. You have to know the whole jump and then put people in the right places. So it's not easy. That's all I have to say on that.
Yeah, I think that probably the overarching theme that I would like people who are going to get into organizing to adopt as they get into it is that they're going to shepherd these people and they're going to try and keep them safe. And so all other things sort of following that, if it's my job to keep these guys safe, I mean, they're coming to you for fun skydives, but I think that as an undercurrent, I need to keep these, baby birds safe. And so then some of the answers of the pitfalls that organizers commonly fall into, I think the biggest one would be that they allow too many people into the group, and they have
Definitely.
I've been guilty of that too many times.
Prescribed a limit for. They don't know the people they're jumping with. They don't have personal experience with them. They can't give a qualified answer for what that person is capable of because the guy literally walked up and said, "Hey, I want to get organized," and so and I fell into that when I was a new organizer as well. But it similar to sort of the plane seatbelt discussion that we had. Man, it's all cool till it's not, and then when it's not, and you were the person that was responsible for shepherding those baby birds, you suddenly have this sense of responsibility that probably isn't going to feel very nice if one of those people gets hurt. And so if everybody that got into it could shade on that side of, hey, I'm gonna be a little bit more circumspect here. I'm looking at this guy who's he's got a rig that looks like it's holding a 210, and I never jumped with him before. And
He must be a tunnel rat.
Yeah, he's wearing a ProTech, or I mean, it doesn't have to be so obvious, but if you go into your organizing day with, hey, if I don't know these people, I'm not going bigger than 3 plus me, or your drop zone may actually give you prescribed minimums, but they probably don't set a maximum, which is maybe a failure on the drop zone, but for sure something that should be in the organizer's mind of like,
That's a
until
great
I
point.
have. So just keeping those kids safe, that's your job, and it is going to be fun, and everybody's going to have fun. But I've been on jumps where people were injured, of course, and that feels terrible.
Give me some, if you don't mind, some coaching and advice on how to, in a kind way, tell someone they can't go with you on a jump, because that's for me that's hard. I think I'm getting better at it. I think probably that's as you go along, you realize, man, I just can't do that anymore. That's not safe. That's not right. But I remember, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, when I first started jumping and wanting to be included and being told no, and that feeling of not being included, and I hate like making people feel that way, which that's not, I'm not saying that's okay. I'm just talking. So what do you say how do you respectfully, in a kind way, do that?
Well, as you look like you got something to say.
Yeah, well, what I've done, what I've learned to do, because of course, back in the day, I was a jackass too. Like ego organizer, I'm cool, you can go, you can't go. That's shit. But what I've learned is, hey man, get on the next load with me and let's see where you're at. let me jump. Hey, I'll jump with you in a minute. But, right now we're doing this. I'm not sure your skill level, but I'll jump with you. Go jump with them, bro. Let's go do a two-way and rip it up, and then we'll go from there. Because if the jump fails and you're organizing, it's your fault, dude. It's not the guy that smashed in the formation. It's not the guy that went low and couldn't get in. It's not their fault. And I've seen a lot of organizers get on the ground and start pointing fingers like, oh, you weren't in your spot. That's your fault as the organizer, right? And if you take it on that responsibility, you'll easily say, hey, man, not this jump, but let me jump with you on the next one or as soon as I can, and then we'll get you there or we'll talk about it. But, yeah, just saying no is – but it's hard. Like, you only got one day and there's only so many loads, So sometimes it's kind of like I can't jump with you. But if you just give that offer, hey, let me jump with you or come to the tunnel with me or something if you can't get with them that day, right? But you extend that olive branch that maybe not this load, but I will get with you and we'll talk, right? And maybe we'll jump and then maybe we'll get you to that skill level would be my answer.
Yeah, I think that just revolving back to the beginning statements there of if you have some sort of prescribed limit for yourself, hey, I've got a bunch of variables in this equation that I'm not familiar with, man. I'm jumping with 3 guys. I only know 2 of them. And so that other guy is kind of a wild card, and I don't want to add any more people until I know how he can fly. And so it's not pawning it off on someone else's skill set that you're not aware of. It's just being honest that I don't want to start including multiple unknown variables into this equation. And then the follow up to that is if it's a small drop zone and it's not too busy, I think that it's very fair to say, look, my group is maxed out right now, but you're first on the list for the next jump. And I think Waz kind of touched on this, but just about being the cool guy group. If I ask an organizer, can I go? And they say, no, I don't know you. Okay, but if that's going to be the answer for the whole day while you jump with your buddies, man, I'm going to leave upset. But if you just say, hey, the group's capped out right now for safety, and I'll pick you up on the next one, you'll be the first one in the group, and then we're going to cap it at the exact same point for your safety as well, then that makes sense. It's something fair that person understands, and it's not, the answer isn't you suck and I don't, and so I'm not taking you. That's not the job of the organizer. That's maybe a paid coach on the weekend, or you signed up for a skills camp, or I mean, it's still not you suck. It's just my group is my group. Mm-hmm. But I think just being transparent about what your mindset is, because just flat out no, I agree with Waz, that feels bad. Mm-hmm. But if you just flesh that out a little bit, then it's gonna just feel like, okay, that's just the way it works.
Yeah, man, the cap is genius.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Because it creates a scarcity also. Like, hey, I'm maxed out, but, get in line. If you want to get on it, I like the cap. I like the cap. It's a safety thing. I don't like doing more than 3 ways, personally. Like, if I'm organizing, doing movement and stuff, I don't want the 4th guy out there. I'm just old, and I don't want to get hurt, and I've seen too much stuff in the sky and collisions and stuff. People passed out, knocked out unconscious, being deployed by their friends. I'm just done with it. You know what I mean? So it's easy for me to be like, man, I only do 3 ways. But if an organizer did have a cap of 5, then it's easy to be like, hey, I've got my 5 guys, sign up for the next one. And that might make them excited to be on the next load. But yeah, that straight out no. How many people have quit because of a rude word in the landing area? When emotions are high and they made a mistake and somebody's like, well, you did this. And they never come back to the drop zone. You ruined their life, bro. You know what I mean? You've stolen skydiving from them. It's not funny, JRuss. That's serious, man.
Well, you just reminded me of this old hockey commercial where Cam Neely's like, what do you want to come over and kick my dog too? Yeah. So David asked a question, which I want to answer. But I wanted to add, and this is kind of a plug for Scout of Chicago, but I think it's appropriate at this point, that I organize the organizers for Summerfest, and that's a big boogie, 600 to 1,000 people, and there's anywhere from 20 to 30 free fly organizers, and I'm very clear with them that we set group maximums that we put on a board that everyone can see. The maximums can be flexible as long as the organizer has personal experience with every person. and then they can choose to expand their group. And if they don't, they can't expand it any more than the maximum that I've prescribed.
What are those?
And the other part of that is if someone can't go, and sometimes, we have 4 different levels of angle, and then 4 different levels of free fly: beginner, intermediate, advanced, and ninja. And we commonly have a situation where somebody thinks they belong in one group, but they don't. They belong in the other group. And the organizer is required to take them to an organizer in the other group and say, hey, this is so-and-so. They're not really ready for my ninja angle right now, but I think they're probably going to be better off in your group. So that it's not good luck. It's, hey, we want you to be here, and you're just not quite at the right place right now.
Yeah, they're still trying to serve them and take care of them. That's awesome. What are the maximums, or does it vary?
It depends on the discipline. There's generally in ninja, there's no maximum, or an 8 maybe, something very loose for the organizer. But then as it gets into the the more beginner levels, it gets much, much smaller. Intro to angle is a maximum of 3 plus the organizer. Beginner free fly is a maximum of 3. Intermediate for both of those is a max of 3. And then the 4, advanced and in both, is a maximum of 4 until they know the people. So,
and that's a mega
drop
drop
sizes.
zone. That's a mega drop zone where you have all those people. It's a little bit harder, like San Marcos, when it's just Chris and Adam, right? Who else is there organizing with you?
Aaron.
Who all organizes at San Marcos?
Free fly and movement stuff. Aaron, man, and me right now are
just 2 guys.
Pretty much the only ones.
Yeah, so it's a little tougher when you have,
For sure. Yeah. So, did you want to read David's question?
Yeah, please do. Go ahead, JRuss.
Do you think a good LO should be prepared to also be a coach and do a debrief after each jump to deliver suggestions for improvement where appropriate?
That's so. I wanted to. I was going to ask that exact same question.
Good.
Thank you, David.
I think that if there's time available, generally speaking, organizers are not coaches. They're getting paid maybe a little bit from the drop zone. Maybe they're getting a few free jumps. So it kind of depends on the personality, I think, that you're dealing with there. Like at, say, Summerfest, a debrief is part of being an organizer. You are going to take your group back and find a TV, and that's part of the product that we're trying to deliver. But I understand, but our organizers are also getting paid, and that's the expectation before they come. And so it kind of depends on where you're at. And I think that time available, the organizer knows more generally than the people that he's jumping with. So if you have the time and the inclination, I think it's a great way to increase the good feeling that your students have about the experience they just had.
But on the other hand, it's more of an overview of the jump. I don't see the time to pull a guy aside and focus on one person when you got a group of 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
The LO is, and they're like a party host. They're trying to keep it going for the drop zone, keep the plane full, and it's kind of hard. If you're looking for that, you need a coach. Get a guy that's going to break it down from your exit to your dock to your body position. If that's what you're looking for, it's not really an LO you're looking for, in my opinion. You're looking for a one-on-one coach.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely those are 2 different things.
Yeah, if you're getting with a load organizer, you're there to use your skills to go do something together with people. And he'd be like, yeah, you could come in more aggressive or don't come in so fast. But to break down technique for, you could get caught with one person for the whole day if you're doing that, trying to, get them caught up when an LO is just trying to get the jump successful. Right? Am I right?
I agree with a lot of that. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't expect anything like a one-on-one coach from an organizer. That's just not their job.
Right. Yeah, and you kind of said it a minute ago. It kind of depends on what you're doing, what the day looks like, how many people are around. If I'm out at the drop zone on a Saturday and it's really slow, but there's a few people jumping with me, and we're waiting on the plane, we're waiting on more people.
Oh, of course.
And they have questions, and we're watching the video, and they're asking me, I'm if we have the time, I'm going to answer probably as many questions as they ask. But that's also like that's fun for me. Like I enjoy it, you know. But if it's super busy and it's just like load after load after load, then and I don't have time, I'm going to try to give feedback. I'm going to try to give help, but I can't like you're saying, I just can't go every single person, all that stuff. It's too much.
Yeah, and I think it would be wrong to have it be your expectation that you're going to get coaching from your organizer. That's sort of the organizer puts the jumps together and tries to keep it safe and gets you all to the plane on time and tries to make the jump go the way that we said it was going to go. But they're not a coach. But it's great if they can do it.
Yeah.
So I've been that guy on organized jumps, just bugging the shit out of the LO about myself. Like, what could I do? What did I do? And like, I've seen it. It was in Eloy. It was a while ago, years and years ago. But I saw it in the guy's eye. I think it was Provenzano. It might have been Jeffro, and he was being really sweet. But he's like, dude, there's a lot of people here. He said it in a very nice way, like, it's not about you, Waz. Right? And I kind of learned that lesson there, like, oh, I need to hire him for the day. And then I can pick his brain like that. But he's trying to get people in the right spot on the exit because we blew the exit. And I'm sitting there bugging him about my dock or something. You know? So I don't know.
Yeah,
that was just my
fair.
personal
That's
experience
totally
with
fair.
it.
Yeah.
I just want to add that if Jeffro was organizing at Eloy, you are dating yourself.
I know, bro.
That was a hot minute ago.
Yes, sir, it was, man. I think this is my 18th year, man.
All right on.
Yeah, so I'm old too, JRuss.
It happens.
Hey, Chris, do we have, can we do a Friday Freakout? Do you have the video capabilities to throw that up?
Yeah. Do you want me to pull one up, or do you have one?
I don't have one. You're in control.
Okay, let me see if I can pull one up real quick, and then we'll wrap up after that.
So JRuss, on my show, the Wazzy Circus Radio, we always do a Friday Freakout. And oh, they're hilarious. They're so much fun to do. I actually had to stop doing them for a while. My wife wouldn't let me do them anymore because I would get so adamant about the lack of skill, I guess, or the lack of awareness on the jumper's part. You know, I'm just a passionate dude.
I mean, there's nothing bad about that.
All right, let's see.
JRuss, what's your favorite drop zone you've been to, and why?
Man, you guys, I'm sorry to give such an easy answer, but I love Scottish Chicago. Man, it's just a different place, and if you haven't been there, you haven't been to an event or experienced the entirety of that drop zone and just sort of the all-encompassing nature of what it is to be there, the crew. They've got a drop zone manager there, Anthony, who is also an SNTA, and he takes his job incredibly seriously. He's a super nice guy, keeping us safe, and I really appreciate his everyday efforts. But above and beyond that, they've got a first-rate facility. They've got a great restaurant. They've got a bar on the drop zone. They've got the tiki that has sort of a nightlife environment. They've got a pond. They've got a shower house. They've got campers. We grill out every night and watch the sun go down. It's just a great place. And I think, I mean, I know that's, they sponsor us. And so maybe that seems like an easy answer for everybody. But Steph and I chose to go there because of our experiences there. And we approached Rook about sponsorship because we wanted to be at our favorite place.
That's cool.
Have you been, Chris?
To Chicago?
Yeah. No. I got my tandem rating in Chicago.
Oh, right on.
Oh, man. It blew me away. I came from a Cessna drop zone, and I thought we were the mecca of skydiving in the world, even though we were in the central Oklahoma. I thought we were skydiving, but you get out to Chicago, dude, oh, my God. There's, like you said it the best, man. Restaurant, tiki bar, the trailer row. Hey, on my training jumps, so I had a local on front, and we were trading jumps to get our tandem rating, right? And he wanted to land somewhere else because somebody was meeting him, and I was trying to land in front of our coach. We ended up fighting over the toggles and sliding under the DC-3. Right under the
Stamp
wing.
your rating right there.
Yeah, man. Wow, what a great place, man.
All right, I got one pulled up.
All right, let's see it.
Can y'all see it?
No.
I can.
Oh, there we go. Here we
Okay,
go. Here's
got it.
something.
Oh,
Okay. Oh, Jesus. Not a bad exit. All right. So this is a jump without a plan. All right, we lost the guy.
Yeah, he sunk out way.
We lost the guy. Okay. What was that, like a donut? This is going to be a
okay.
side
Can you
body.
pause the video?
Yeah, sure. Oh,
For
that guy.
people watching, this is a problem right now. Like, fixing the level is not a joke. And so level slot dock, if you guys have heard that acronym of LSD, I mean, I'm not surprised that we're seeing this on Friday Freakout, because these guys are unconcerned with the fact that, as Waz said, we lost a guy. Yep. Getting that guy is priority number one before these points start happening, or at least knowing where he is. Like, they are checked out on this other skydiver, and man, I'm already scared for them.
I think we actually just saw in the video right before I paused it. I think I saw the guy way below them pull.
No way.
Oh, right as we stopped it.
Right as we stopped it, I think I could see the guy way down there pull. Well, let's see.
See, that's why I only do 3 ways.
Look, yep, there it is. You see it down the bottom.
Oh no! It
Yeah.
pop back
Oh
up,
my
yeah.
gosh.
So the camera flyer hit him.
Yep.
Oh, let's do that again. Run it back for me, Chris.
It's gonna go. I think it's gonna go back because look how much time is left. Let's see.
Yeah.
Here it goes.
So I mean, the guy that can't stay with the group, he's probably the least experienced, least skilled guy in the group.
Was that a
And
helmet
we
that
need
he
to
lost?
keep track
Hold
of
on,
that
hold
guy.
on.
Did he lose his helmet?
He
on
lost
exit?
his helmet.
He lost his helmet on exit.
Jesus.
Did you see
You
that?
see that?
Yeah.
And there's that gray hair I was talking about.
Yeah, you had a
Look at
helmet.
that, dude! Boom!
It got
Oh,
pulled
man.
off by this guy's arm right here. Pulled his helmet off from the back.
No, it wasn't. It was, dude. Helmets don't come off. That wasn't. It wasn't.
Well, I'm not
His
saying it was
seatbelt
that
was
guy's
loose.
fault. I'm not
His
saying it's
seatbelt
his
was
fault.
loose,
Forget you. Forget you.
Okay.
Look, you see it?
Oh, he dumped. He dumped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus! And look at that saber one. Oh.
I mean, yeah, that could have been 2 fatalities. Very
That
easily.
might have been a
more.
premature, bro. They're way too high to pull.
No,
They
I
just
think
got
that guy, he was older. I think he got confused because his helmet and all that. And I think I don't know. I didn't read the description. I'm just guessing. Man.
See, this is why I don't do Friday freakouts anymore on my show, bro. It gives me anxiety.
Yeah. Well, any other feedback, JRuss, on that? I mean, you gave some good stuff.
I mean, yeah, that was a very lucky situation. That could have been
Domino. It's the domino effect. That's the domino effect.
And if it, just as Waz said, if you look at any, I'm sorry to phrase it this way, but if you look at the parachutist incident reports that include fatalities, they will almost always say, like every other situation, this was a chain of events, and if we break the link at any one spot, this doesn't happen. But not finding that guy, I mean, his helmet coming off was his initial problem, but it probably rattled him. He's the least experienced, least skilled guy on the jump. He loses everybody else. He doesn't know his altitude, perhaps, if he didn't have a visual, but he was counting on those audibles, and he freaks out and dumps high. The camera flyer is focused on the group and doesn't look to see that canopy coming at him until the last possible second. Break anything in that chain. We don't let the guy get away. We dive down to him because he's low, and now we are all on level and we know where everyone is, and that doesn't happen.
Well, have you ever lost
so
your
look at-
goggles in free fall? It's right.
It's very
So
disorienting.
I have, and you can't see. So he had a full face on, so he didn't have goggles. So that wind is blasting his eyes. He probably can't check his altitude, and he was probably panicking, and he dumped. You know, instead of tracking out of the way or whatever. I mean, it just here.
So David has a comment here. Did you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't
apparently
see
the
his
guy
altitude
couldn't
when
see
he
his
pulled when he
altitude.
thought it was at
Yeah.
pool height. That's what I'm saying. He couldn't see. It all went wrong when they put the booties over their shoes. It was the booties. As soon as they put the booties on, dog, it started going bad from that point
See,
on.
instead of a Skydive Tex hat, you should have like a dude stirring the pot. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's Skydive Mex. That's Mex.
Mex, sorry.
But yeah.
Sorry, Benji. Benji made that hat. I'm sorry.
Well, all right.
Oh
As
my
they say
God.
in
Let's
car
watch it
talk,
again.
You've
Let's
done,
watch it
You've
again.
done it again. You've
Let's watch
wasted
it again,
a perfectly
Chris.
good hour listening to Chris, JRuss, and Waz. You can't get that hour
All right.
back. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's time to wrap it up, you guys.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. That was really fun.
He said, I wear booties. David said, I wear booties.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
We're going to kick Waz out if he keeps being mean
that
to
shit's
people.
dangerous, dog. Just straighten your legs. You don't need booties, bro. I've been saying it for years.
Dude, this guy. He's
All
just-
right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks,
well,
guys.
that was fun. I really appreciate it. I do want to maybe try to have a puzzler, like a riddle or something to leave with everybody every time. I don't have one this week, but I'll try to come up with one for next time we film, next episode. And like we said, maybe we'll have people in the future. What we'd like to do for people who are watching this online, maybe somebody actually watches this other than just David. We're thankful for David. Maybe he'll be the only one that ever watches it. But I think it'd be awesome if at some point, we have viewers actually upload, audience members, they can send us a video and we can give live feedback on their video. Just like we did the Friday Freak Out, we pull up their video, we watch through it, we talk to them, give them some live feedback and coaching, instruction.
I just want to share a quick story.
Yeah, go for it.
From a few years ago, as we think about people uploading their videos. Hopefully he'll listen to this at some point. We had a weather hold at Skydive Chicago. We're gonna
oh no,
apparently-
come on, this is a guy. Please keep going.
got a little confused about the card that contained our team video, and puts it in and presses play and turns around, starts futzing with something, and the next thing we have his wife bent over and he is starfished behind her for a good 20 seconds of us just as he's trying to stop the video and panicking. So hopefully somebody's going to preview those videos before you just let somebody put something up on air.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Team.
Skydiving, man.
Yes.
Skydiving. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
And on that note, we're done. Thanks, you guys.
Hey,
See